will send it around. So without further ado, let's get started. I am thrilled about this morning's topic because not only is it near and dear to my heart personally, but we are joined by two just top-notch experts this morning who are going to walk us through not only the importance of adding social emotional health and well-being into children's services, but really centering the family voice and why that is so critical to co-collaborating sustainable solutions for the long run. So this morning, I am so happy to have with us Banu Valladares and our own Morgan Forrester Ray to talk us through what families say they need to strengthen early childhood services through their Family Voices report. And then after that, we will hear from, of course, one of the all-time greats, Tiffany Gladney, who is going to give you the legislative rundown because this was a busy week with crossover. And then we will have our wrap up with announcements and we will adjourn for the day. So let's get started. I'll turn it over to you, Banu.
I actually think I'm going to kick us off here. Hey everyone, my name is Morgan. I think Fawn is pulling up our slides right now. I just wanted to say it's great to be here with you all and present. Hopefully you can put a name and a voice with a face. I've been an NC Child since September of 2019, but this is my first time speaking on a CAN call. But I know it certainly will not be my last as we proceed through the policy agenda that is forthcoming in this initiative. If you know me, you know I'm really passionate about infant and early childhood social emotional health and development. And one of my goals is always to turn others into advocates for this crucial area of development. So I hope you learn a lot today. And if you aren't already an advocate and really fired up about this topic, I hope you will become one. So Fawn, you can go to the next slide. Just a brief, really high level overview to level set. NC Child, alongside our partners, launched the North Carolina Initiative for Young Children's Social Emotional Health in the fall of 2019. This is now known as Earlywell, a much shorter name. This work grew out of the Pathways to Grade Level Reading, as well as the Assuring Better Child Health and Development, or ABCD initiative, as well as many other initiatives and plans. We're grateful to our funders in this work, the Duke Endowment, the Alliance for Early Success, and Invest Early NC. The goal has always been to ultimately strengthen and enhance the infant and young child social emotional health system in North Carolina. This work has been broken up into phases over the last year and a half and into the future. Since 2019, there's been multiple stakeholders engaged. We have a over 60-person steering committee that meets quarterly, a smaller leadership team meeting that happens monthly to collaborate. Thus far, we've created a vision for our state. We've done extensive family engagement and centering racial equity within our work to ultimately produce later this year the North Carolina Action Plan for Young Children's Social Emotional Health, which will guide our policy advocacy and campaigns in the future years. Next slide. So family voice, as I mentioned, this has been a crucial theme in Earlywell, and the purpose for today is to really share about this really rich family voice that was collected in 2020. It's been a central theme, and with the funding from Invest Early NC, the North Carolina Early Childhood Foundation and NC Child were able to engage families in learning about their experiences with social emotional health in North Carolina. We teamed with 4 community-based organizations that interviewed and surveyed over 200 families from 28 counties last year. The experiences and feedback the families shared directly shaped the vision that continues to shape our work today, as 12 work groups have been meeting to draft and recommend policy recommendations. So now I'm going to turn it over to Banu to share some key takeaways from surveying and working with families.
Great, and we can move on to the next slide. Thank you. So we heard that healthy, well-adjusted parents are the most important resource for young children's social emotional health and development in their voices. Dad and I, most of the time they come to us when they're feeling a certain way. We listen and try to explain to them that it is okay to feel that way. However, white and Black respondents were also more likely to mention grandparents or relatives other than dad, while Hispanic respondents were more likely to mention dad than extended family. This is likely because many of the Spanish-speaking respondents noted that they didn't have extended family nearby. We also heard that the people surrounding families with young children are also important resources of support for young children's social emotional health and development. This includes family, friends, social groups, and professional providers of services. In their voice, I am doing everything I can for him to teach him the feelings, but I need professional help. Interestingly, those with the lowest incomes, below 50% of the federal poverty level, followed by those with the highest incomes, above 200% of the federal poverty level, were more likely to mention professionals as sources of support, suggesting that they're more likely to have access to or rely on professionals than those in the middle income brackets. Next slide. We also heard that there are a wide variety of services and programs that families either do not currently have access to or that they feel there should be more of, including community-based play and learn programs for young children, resources for families who do not speak English, and mental health therapy for families and caregivers. In their voices. The information I received from a friend, she told me that this benefit was available and that I didn't have to wait until my child was 3 years old, even though that is what my pediatrician said when my son was 18 months old. My friend said that no one knows your child better than you. Tell your pediatrician that you need a specialist. We also heard that what families really value most in providers are good people skills and compassion. Families need providers to communicate well, be understanding and supportive without judgment, be caring, engage with them in a sustained and genuine way, be trustful and trustworthy, be respectful, work well as a team, personalize services, speak their languages, and respect their cultures. In their voices. It is important that when you look for help, people are compassionate because sometimes they don't know all of the problems and they become part of it. When there is trust, it is much more easier. Respondents who spoke a language other than English were much more likely than English-speaking respondents to note communication and linguistic and cultural competence as being of primary importance. Those living in deep poverty, less than 50% of the federal poverty level for a family of 3, are most likely to mention the importance of feeling like providers care. Next slide. Families are very concerned and at times panicked and even despairing about being able to access the services that their children need. They want to know that specific services exist, that they qualify for them, and that they are affordable and flexible. They also need those services to be nearby at times that work for them, and they need to have transportation to get to those services. In their voice. I didn't know services existed or that there were supports that we could use. The constant lack of information was a problem. It is important that there is more information that families know and pediatricians can facilitate this more. I filled out so many forms, it was overwhelming, and honestly, I didn't understand. Other barriers that prevent families from accessing services include frustration with their children being labeled, not feeling comfortable seeking help, being stretched too thinly to take advantages of services, and struggles with mental health, addiction, domestic violence, COVID-19, and family economic security. In their voice. Just with him being an African-American male, with the way he was acting, I felt like he was automatically labeled and them wanting to put him in slow classes. Even I did that. I started second guessing myself and things I was doing. Finally, respondents from all backgrounds reported that they had been treated differently because of their race, in their voice. In places where you request services, they discriminate against you for the fact that you're Hispanic. Being able to speak English would have helped a lot. We knew that services existed, but they didn't want to give them to us. We had to keep trying and trying and pushing to even be able to access the services. Charlotte Bilingual Preschool conducted 8 interviews, administered 23 surveys, and shared raw data and data summaries with the research team leading this effort. We also provided feedback to inform interview and survey questions prior to the study. We are honored to have been part of this project that amplifies families' voices. We know the importance of intersectionality, and we hope that the report would provide a deeper understanding of the realities our families face and continue to encourage us all to build more social capital, kinship, and comunidad, all parts of our secret sauce at Charlotte Bilingual Preschool. Thank you.
Thanks, Banu. That was a great overview. Bon, you can go to the next slide. So we really hope this high-level glimpse into what families shared have piqued your interest. For more information, we've created 3 family voice reports. There's a short 6-page report, a medium 30-page, and a full 120-page report. I think Michelle dropped the link into the chat to access these, and Fawn's also going to drop a link into the chat to the landing page at NC Child where you can find more information. We encourage you to spend time with what families have shared. It truly is not only applicable to the social emotional health, but all of our work and touches many things from insurance to childcare. We've been able to weave the family voice, rapport, and rich information many ways into Early Well and will continue to do so. As mentioned, the Early Well team is working currently to develop our action plan this year, as well as our strategy around sequencing and campaign planning for the years to come. NC Child will be leading the policy agenda and campaigns, and we will certainly be back to engage this group as we push to implement these policy recommendations and solutions. That concludes our formal slides and presentation, but happy to take questions. I think I saw one around if we've connected to Allison Stubbe in the 4th trimester project. Absolutely, we have definitely connected with Allison and her team. And Sarah Verbies sits on our steering committee, and we've been really intentional, I think, to connect with perinatal health because we know that children, their health doesn't start when they're born. And so we've definitely connected in those veins and had those voices represented in this work thus far.
Thank you so much, Morgan and Banu, and for all this incredible work. This report is truly, it's just so powerful, right? It's always so powerful to hear the experiences of families in their own words. And as I was sitting and listening to, the key takeaways and what families were saying, it really made me think about, yes, there are longer term policy solutions that you're working towards, but what are some ways that we can bring this into our work now, especially thinking about direct service providers, but across the tables that we all sit at? And I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
I'll share a couple things, and then Banu, if you want to share anything of how it's directly impacted y'all's work at Charlotte Bilingual Preschool. Just some logistical things. We want these reports to be utilized. They will not sit on a shelf and collect dust. And so we've had other groups utilizing them throughout the state. We've whether that's Yay Babies, which is a coalition focused on homelessness. So we definitely invite other initiatives to use these and leverage them. Additionally, I think, things that we can do right now, a lot of some of the stuff that's in the report, it's not new. It's things that I heard as a case manager 8 years ago. However, just sitting with it and really soaking it in and reflecting on it, I think as professionals, whether we're policymakers or frontline working with families day in and day out, it just helps remind us of what's important to families and balancing the tension of what's important to us as professionals and families. And honestly, something that stuck with me was from the report was just this piece around, it didn't really matter who the professional was. It could have been a dietitian or a doctor, but if that family felt supported and listened to, it made all of the difference, which was just a reminder every day to be a good human, right? And have social intelligence and show up for people and listen. But Banu, I'll see, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, we designed with our families. This is kind of key to the work that we do. So asking families what their priorities, preferences are is not something new to us. But this particular research was really helpful to us to be able to give direct voice to some of the challenges that our families are experiencing, and to be able to paint a picture of a real human being, maybe even for our board, right, where we can actually use samples of the recordings or just quotes to get a sense of, here's how the intersectionality of all of these things, because it's not one thing, it's all of it together. And if you add economic marginalization and lack of language skills and a policy agenda that has much negative to say about immigrants in the United States, plus, right, it creates a perfect storm of challenges for families to be able to move forward. And it is really difficult to relate if you're not aware. And so this idea of how do we bring people to the margins to be transformed by the people who live in the margins, it is such an important piece. And I think that this report does this really well. So we've been able to use it in that sense. The other piece is that we are a two-gen approach. We work with the families and the children. And this has really pushed us to consider how much better we could be providing additional supports for our families, and to push, right, what is this idea of being a true two-gen center? How do we attack these challenges that our families experience that go beyond just education? So anyway, I think that those have all been really essential takeaways for us, and thanks to the report, we've got data to be able to talk about that.
I think those are really just both remarkable reports and remind us how important it is to take that time to be really reflective and remember that these are whole people with whole lives. And that is a really, I don't know, not just important, but it really is an honor to be able to serve children and families every single day. And so thank you so much for bringing this front and center and kicking our Friday off with such an important and reflective topic. Are there any other questions before we kick it over to that legislative update? Hearing none. Tiffany, I know it was a real week down on Jones Street. So give us all the highlights.
Yeah, that's an understatement, Kaylan. Thank you so much, and good morning, y'all. This week was a busy week. One night, House session went until 10 p.m. So, and that was just one night. So I see Senator Terry Van Dyne over there shaking her head because she remembers those days. So it was a crazy week, but it's a week that I think we all dread and celebrate with crossover, because we know that this is a huge milestone in the legislative process for us. So, and of course, crossover is when essentially a bill has to have passed one chamber in order to still be eligible. Now, of course, there are always caveats. So if there's not a fiscal note or something like that, it could still be eligible, but it's a really busy time of the week and time of the year for policy wonks and those who watch policy move on a state level. So this year did not fail. As with early childhood, we saw House Bill 664, the County Service District's Early Childhood Education Bill, actually passed the House. So this proposal creates a new local financing mechanism for childcare, adding early childhood education programs to the list of special service districts authorized by a county board of commissioners. So it is now in the Senate and awaiting a date to be heard in Senate rules. So on the child welfare and safety front, we saw Senate Bill 693, the Expedite Child Safety and Permanency Act. This bill would make various amendments to the juvenile code regarding abuse, neglect, and dependency laws, including directing DSSS DSS, added too many S's there, I think, to identify and notify adult relatives of a juvenile with legal custody of the juvenile siblings, authorize the court to consider placement of a juvenile with a non-relative kin, if not with a relative, and provide that a positive drug test alone be insufficient to deny a parental visitation. The bill passed the Senate and has been referred to House rules. And also we saw the Foster Parents Bill of Rights move. That's House Bill 769. This is an act to provide a Bill of Rights recognizing the rights of foster parents. The state would recognize a list of rights, including the ability to serve as a respected member of the child welfare team, receive specified information about the responsibilities of a foster parent, and access to support services, including active participation in the decision-making process regarding the child, and be notified of any expenses that are eligible for reimbursement. So this bill did pass the House and has now been assigned to Senate rules. Then we saw Senate Bill 35, which is the maximum 4-year age difference to marry under 18 years. This bill, y'all, has been through quite a few changes since it was filed. Its original purpose was to make 18 the minimum age to consent to marriage in North Carolina. And after many twists and turns, the bill passed the Senate with a minimum age of 16 years for marriage. The bill removes the pregnancy exemption and creates a 4-year age difference limit for adults seeking to marry a 16 or 17-year-old. With the amendment in tow, the bill passed in the Senate and is now headed to House rules. And on the healthcare front, we saw the Dignity for Women Who Are Incarcerated Act move. That's House Bill 608, which aims to provide reasonable accommodations for pregnant inmates, including prohibiting shackling of inmates when in labor and the necessary postpartum care that they might need. The bill passed the House on Monday, May 10th, and is now awaiting a date and time in Senate rules. And then we saw House Bill 736, timely updates to newborn screening. So this bill received an amendment this week and subsequently passed out of the House Health Committee and the House. As amended, House Bill 736 would require new conditions listed on the Recommended Uniform Screening Panel, the RUSP, to be added to the North Carolina's Newborn Screening Panel. However, the original language had that this would happen within 2 years, but with the amendment, it will now be 3 years. So the bill is now awaiting a date to be heard in the Senate Rules Committee. And on a federal level, we saw, and let me put this out there when it comes to state legislation and policy, we are working as well to make sure that state legislators understand our priorities when it comes to the budget. So hopefully we'll have some really cool updates to share with you guys soon once the budgets are released, and hopefully they will have some very thoughtful inclusion concerning child care and child safety and child welfare and things of that nature. So I didn't want to not mention that we are working to try to make sure the budget is reflective of our mission. So on a federal update level, the U.S. House is voting on the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act today. And if it passes, the bill will head to the Senate. And this legislation protects pregnant workers from workplace discrimination. So when the written update comes out later today, there will be a link in there where you can read more about the bill from our colleagues at Better Balance. And there's also a companion bill in the Senate. And we are working as well to make sure that Congress knows how we feel about this bill and that we support this bill. So hopefully more details to come on that as well. So stay tuned, y'all.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. It sounds like there is a lot happening for children and families across the state and the country. So some exciting stuff, and fingers crossed for that federal bill. All right. So we are just plugging through this morning. If you know me, I do love to run a pithy meeting. So I appreciate a good clip. But I think we do have some announcements, and of course, folks are always welcome to sound off on updates from your agencies and organizations. We love to hear them. I do believe Lamine Perkins on our team has an announcement to make. And then, of course, happy to just unmute and join right in.
All right, thank you, Kaylan. I just wanted to invite you all to join Youth Advocacy Council, Education Justice Alliance, and a few elected officials next Friday on May the 20th at 4:00 p.m. for a roundtable discussion on student mental health. Youth Advocacy Council members have been working really hard to lift this issue up, to think about, to have a discussion with advocates in the community about the impact that COVID-19 has had on students' mental health, and lift up the things that they'll need as they begin to return to school in the fall. And so if you are free, we hope that you will join us. I believe that there is a link on the screen, and we will also put it on the chat. And again, that's Friday the 20th at 4:00 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. And I love seeing more opportunities for us to engage with folks directly and hear from them what they need. It is really powerful. I hope people can join. Adam Sotak, not so quiet after all today, sounding off in the comments, reminding folks that we are hiring for a public engagement specialist. He's dropped the link in there. Thank you, Adam. Are there any other announcements that folks have?
Can I share an announcement?
You sure can.
Again, my name is Constancita Tita Nieves with AmeriHealth Caritas, North Carolina. And just reminding people, and I'm sorry for coming late to the meeting, but I was at a meeting from the Mecklenburg County. But I want to remind people that today is the last day for Medicaid members to sign up with a plan. As of tomorrow, they will then be auto-assigned, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be an assignment at random. There is, let me just get to the notes. There's an algorithm based on their location, previous history of preferred providers, etc. So it's not really a totally random event for them. And then they will have until September 30th to choose another plan if what the plan that they were assigned to does not include any of their primary care physicians. A number where people can go online to ncmedicaid.gov/choose/compare plans, and they can choose a plan. They will also, there's also the independent enrollment broker, but they can also call 833-870-5500 to speak to someone on the phone. So various ways for people to choose are the online e-pass, mail, even though if it's stamped today, it will be honored, phone app, and then in person. Just wanted to share that with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's like you took that announcement right out of my brain, Tita. I really appreciate it. So yes, there are, as mentioned, a number of ways that people can pick plans today. Today is the last day to pick a plan before you are auto-assigned. But there will be 90 days starting July 1 for folks to switch plans if the one that they were assigned to or picked just isn't working out. And you can always connect with us if you have questions about switching plans or the enrollment broker. So that is exciting as we move right along in our transition to Medicaid managed care. Anything else?
Hey, Kaylan, I'm going to make a quick announcement on behalf of Elizabeth, who's busy with something else, that the plan has, I'm posting a link in the chat to North Carolina's Child Care Development Fund plan. This is the state's plan for 3 years for our child care development funds, and it's required to be submitted to the federal government as a condition of getting that money. They're accepting public comments for a really limited period of time, I think. But if you haven't had a chance to check it out, there's the link. And if you have questions about how to weigh in, I'm also going to put Elizabeth Byram's email. Oh, there she is. She's writing a summary of it right now. But if you want to know how to weigh in on this, I'm going to drop her email also into that chat. So we'll try to help you all, get a chance to weigh in on this plan, because this is how the state will spend its child care money for the next 3 years. So we ought to know, right?
Thank you so much, Fawn and Elizabeth. All right. Anything else? Now's the time.
I'm going to pull up the slide with what we're presenting on next week.
Yes. Spoilers. You have to listen to me again. So we are excited about next week, where I will be joined by Senator Jim Bergen to discuss the importance of maternal health and opportunities to extend health coverage under Medicaid for pregnant individuals. So to get from the current 60 days postpartum to 12 months postpartum. So don't miss that. It will be a great conversation. And as you know, I love talking about nerdy Medicaid things. So if that's your cup of tea, then get excited. And then after that, we'll have a break because it's Memorial Day, if you can believe it. So hopefully everybody will be lounging poolside safely and enjoying some much due time off and in preparation for the summertime, because apparently it's almost that time of year. So thank you so much to Morgan and Banu for this morning. Again, wonderful discussion. Thank you for all of your work in centering and lifting the voices of families. Thank you, Tiffany, as always, for a very robust, comprehensive overview of what happened at the legislature. And thank you to all of you for spending Friday morning with us. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, a fabulous weekend, and look forward to seeing you next week.